So in today's episode, we thought it would be really good to get a really highly qualified and highly skilled and very accomplished professional dietitian who's been practicing for a number of years in to provide some insights to their practice as a dietitian. And so we were fortunate enough to have Aidan Muir, or his Instagram handle is Aidan the Dietitian in, and we went through a number of questions as it relates to his practice.
I am a dietitian. I see clients. I see 30-ish people per week. I studied at CSU Wagga Wagga, so I studied a 4-year degree at university there. Started my own business for a little bit. That didn't go great. And I learned that I needed experience, needed to learn from someone else. Went to work for somebody else for about 2.5 years, took on another job after that, and then slowly transitioned to doing what I do now and have been doing for the last 1.5 years, 2 years now. And that's about a 4.5-year journey total post-university now.
So within our meeting and catch up, which in and of itself is a full podcast episode. So if you want to check that out, be sure to check out the details at the end of the video. We went through a number of things. So who he works with, from powerlifters to the general population, through to certain diet strategies that he uses to really good effect with certain populations. So things like the Fodmap Diet, effectiveness with IBS and gut problems. We also looked at some stuff as it relates to collagen research and interventions with connective tissue. So Aidan actually works out of a powerlifting specific gym. So that's Valhalla Strength in Brisbane, as well as being online and working as an online consultant. Then he consults to a number of companies as well. So he does, as a result of that, work with a lot of powerlifters. But within this, Aidan also explains that he does still work with the general population. And then interestingly enough, even though he works in a powerlifting gym and certain bodybuilding population clients will come in there, he then explains why he doesn't necessarily take on comp prep clients.
So 50% of my clients are athletes, mostly powerlifters, strength athletes, some off-season bodybuilders. I don't do comp preps or anything like that, but strength athletes.
Is there a reason that you don't do comp preps?
A few reasons. One, I don't want a bar of it, like in terms, like from the health perspective, like I just don't have an interest in that. Two, I personally have never put myself in a position where I've gotten that lean, and I would want the personal experience of having done that before prepping someone. And then three, I don't know what stage leanness looks like. As in, I can't look at somebody and be like, yeah, you're about 3 weeks dieting away from being where you need to be. Like, I don't know the exact numbers. And I'm just like, there's so many people better at this than I am. To be honest, I love powerlifting. Yeah. My main interest, all these kind of things. But if all I saw day in, day out is powerlifting, it's just the same stuff over and over and over and over. And like, I love it, but I don't want it to be all that I do. I like doing other stuff. Probably bad from a business perspective. Niching down is probably the way to go, but like, it makes sense to me. It's what I want to do. So the other 50% is just general weight loss clients, maybe some health conditions, and a lot of IBS stuff as well.
Later, we got into the topic of the Fodmap diet, its efficacy, who should go on it. And some of the things that we really spoke about was the level of difficulty of the Fodmap diet, as well as how to actually execute it, and the role of a dietitian within that process of actually correctly executing the Fodmap diet and its level of success within clients.
I don't want to oversimplify it, but like, the biggest tool in my toolkit is the low Fodmap diet. So it's fermentable forms of carbohydrate that typically in your large intestine will help produce gas, basically, is what it is. You could think of it as more difficult to digest foods. Like, it's a pretty like complex list of foods, like certain vegetables, certain fruits. Wheat has fructans in it, like garlic, onions, like, and it's on that topic. I know I'm getting sidetracked, but like, fructans in wheat typically cause symptoms in about 14% of the population. Yeah. Which very strongly overlaps with what a lot of people would call gluten intolerance or gluten sensitivity. It's a very, very strong overlap, and it seems to be more likely to be causing the symptoms. At the end of the day, it doesn't change what people do, but it's more likely to be fructans. It's more likely to be a FODMAP issue than specifically gluten. Yeah. Somebody's got diarrhea, sometimes constipation, less effective for that, or bloating. Like, honestly, over my 4.5-year career, diarrhea and bloating, at the moment, I've had a 100% success rate with the low FODMAP diet. That doesn't line up with the data. The research shows like a 50 to 80% success rate. But like, at the moment, that's what I'm saying is the best tool in my toolkit, because it has worked every time. Yeah. There's obviously more nuance. You've got to reintroduce foods. You've got to manage stress, because stress is one, like, for perspective, if people do gut-directed hypnosis or hypnotherapy, it's got about an 80% success rate for these same symptoms. It's kind of like, that's more effective than the research is showing for FODMAPs. So it's obviously like a big component. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. It's just like they produce gas in the intestines and that causes the bloating. Potentially they can draw in water, which is what could cause a diarrhea. And like the mechanism for constipation, which will make you understand why it's less effective constipation, is basically the gas production compacts the fecal matter, which makes it harder to pass, which is like why it seems to be about like 20% effective for constipation, whereas like way more effective for those other two.
We then got onto the topic of collagen and its effectiveness on connective tissue injuries, as well as some other effects that have been reported to be benefits of collagen supplementation, how true and accurate they actually are.
I had looked at the studies myself. I'm not going to say I read every single one, but I tried going down that rabbit hole myself and it seemed mixed to me.
Yeah.
And then I heard a guy named Dr. Keith Barr. I don't know exactly my opinion on him right now, but like I heard him talk about and highlight, if you account for all these variables, every single study that's ever been done is positive for collagen, for tendons, ligaments, all those kind of things. And like the variables were basically the dosage. So to be specific, what he was saying is 15 grams.
15 grams or over.
Yeah, 15 grams or over. Vitamin C, because
in conjunction
C
with,
is important for collagen synthesis. It's part of one of the enzymatic steps. You can't have collagen synthesis without vitamin C in your system. Therefore, any fasted study with collagen is useless because it's missing that. And then timing. Just because such a large percentage of our body is made up of collagen, we can't just direct it where it needs to go. But the theoretical reasoning is if you have the collagen peptides, and a lot of it breaks down to amino acids. It seems like about 10% stays in peptide form. The rest is in amino acids.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to use my example, patellar tendinopathy, so the patellar tendon. If I'm doing rehab exercise that involves blood flowing to the tendon, and we have the research showing that the amino acids peak in the blood about 40 to 60 minutes post consumption of the collagen, it makes sense that because those amino acids are around there when you're stimulating that area, that a little bit more is going to go to there. And that has been measured about, it's a bit variable, but like 70% to a 200% increase in collagen synthesis in the tendon.
Local area, yeah.
Yeah, in the local area. So we're like, hey, it actually is going to the area that we care about when it's done in this way. That doesn't mean, oh, you can't take a post-workout or doing it separately is going to do nothing. It's just like, we have the research showing that it does help when you take it before. We have 0 studies on it taking it post-workout. To me, it makes sense to have it before, just based on the theoretical reasoning and the fact that we have the research on that.
Yeah.
Whereas if the research post-workout does happen and it shows it's positive, that wouldn't surprise me. But it's just we have this right now. And that's what we've got.
And I'd roll with it as well. Plus, you look at like digestive times and all that stuff. If you say the timing peaks, what was it, 40 to 60 minutes?
40 to 60 minutes. So it's still in your system even post-workout most likely.
Exactly. Like if you're trying to time the peak for when you've just finished and you've got all the blood there, then it makes sense to at least have it like pre or peri. Which then segued perfectly into a subject that we're both really passionate about, and that is the position on industry-funded research and where we see that. And you know what it's like with supplement companies as well, with their funded research, like the funded of the funded research. Yeah, there's only a certain amount that's actually
publication bias. It's like, well, if
actually being published, like there's a lot that they withhold.
Yeah, if you
there might be a lot of null hypothesis there.
Yeah, like if you're, I'm not going to name names, but a collagen supplement company and you fund research and it doesn't show anything beneficial,
you're not going to pay for it.
Why would you publish it? Like you wouldn't want to publish it.
No, so you're only going to show the beneficial stuff. So
I think about that heaps, and like I think it's Lane Norton who I've seen him say it something quite eloquently. Like I can't remember the exact words, but it's something like, "This doesn't mean you should be like, let's disregard all industry funded research. That would be a silly thing to do." And at the other end of the spectrum, my take is like, we still just need to be aware that this happens.
Exactly.
Like look at it from both perspectives. It's nuance. Like both of them matter.
Yeah, well, we look at the full picture, and when you look at the full picture, then you see things sort of differently. And then finally, as we sat down in the interview setting, we spoke about the effects of supplementation on gut health and the effects that probiotics have on gut health, and then any other impacts and positive impacts that they may have. And then finally, Aidan's food-first approach and why that's so important to him as a practitioner.
I don't think many of them are making much difference at all. Probiotics, yes, but my kind of standpoint on that is probiotics, when used for a specific purpose, are beneficial. And then that takes it another step more difficult, because it's like, how's the average person supposed to know what the specific purpose is and then which probiotics to take and stuff like that? Because it's even something that like I struggle with a little bit. Once again, 5th year in this profession, I care about this stuff. I try to learn as much as I can. And it seems like a lot of experts in the field are not overly specific. Like they don't go, hey, get this brand. The most they might say is like, hey, focus on lactobacillus and make sure that there's this many colony forming units and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's this, like, you know, these gut health formulas and all this stuff. They're all garbage. I would say like the like they've seen, again, like if people can't be bothered doing like cleaning your diet up or anything like that, and you want to see like an acute positive response, then probably take the probiotic, the lactobacillus bifidobacteria. You have that, and I think it's at least minimum 15 billion or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Have that for a week. 60% of people see an improvement from that. So you don't have to change your diet. You're hating hearing this right now, right? Because you're like, improve.
I agree with that. Like, I do see that.
I have a food first approach as well. You're probably way more food first than me, but I'm just saying, if you want to notice something, if you're going to get a supplement, at least get that. Don't get these other gut health formulas or whatever.
I suppose on the other end of the spectrum, if you're doing this, you're taking a supplement for multiple months and you don't notice any difference.
If you're going to have a supplement, try that, because there's going to be like a 60% efficacy. Like you're going to 60%, 6 out of 10 people are going to see a positive. But these other ones are just rubbish. But they're like literally called like a scientifically engineered natural superfood.
Yeah.
That's the most oxymoronic concept that I've ever heard of. Like, how can it be a natural superfood and also be, this is, people are buying it, man. Like, these companies are making millions. So,
on that topic as well, the probiotic one as well. Like, there's research on it with high volume endurance training, like kind of an overreaching phase.
Yeah.
If you put a probiotic in there, it can reduce respiratory tract infections.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
It would mean like it doesn't directly improve your performance,
but it helps you train more consistently, which then helps your performance.
And that's such a clear cut thing where I'm like, hey, at that stage, we're not looking at like diverse food intake, enough fiber. Like that's a clear cut. This will help.
That's like magnesium as well. So like fish oils, magnesium, zinc, and then probiotic. They were like, they're like, for people training really, really hard and intensely, they're the ones to have.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, for sure. And like I've done nutrient analysis on like Gen Pop clients for magnesium intake. And it seems like 60% of the recommended daily intake, assuming diet history is relatively accurate, and we know there's flaws in that. Like I did this for multiple years, every single client I had. Athletes are sweating more. Magnesium's lost through sweat as well. And it's kind of like, if they're not doing something to
offset that,
whether it's through like having a really high magnesium diet or whether it's through supplementing, like it's most likely going to be an inadequate intake or a suboptimal intake.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you have terribly low energy availability, and your training load is through the roof, you wouldn't worry about a supplement. Like, look, food first, and then high training volumes, and really, really, really like lean body compositions will then like influence my recommendations for those types of supplements. But typically speaking, the majority of the population aren't at that point. Like 80%, don't worry about supplements, just nail your food. So those are the highlights from our interview today. If you want to see or hear or listen to the full conversation, be sure to check out our podcast. Make sure to give us a like and a subscribe, and follow the channel. We're going to be putting out content like this at least every week, and then we'll have a highlight with a month in the life of SNA to check out along the way as well.